Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Laboratory ruins, Sunday, 11:13 p.m. Late on a night filled with cold mist and still air, two figures off in the distance, both reading a book. This book, Antibodies, by Kevin J. Anderson, an X-Files novel.
Agent Paris, this book doesn't seem to be that terrible, to be honest with you.
I don't know, it's pretty bad, Chris. So
perhaps this is something to file under. We thought it would be really bad, but it's not that bad. To be fair, I might not be as good of a resource as you because I have only watched a handful of X-Files episodes in my lifetime.
Well, you see, so I love the X-Files, and I've seen all of them except for the most recent. Didn't they do like another? Like they did the new season, then they did another one, right? I don't think I watched that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that either.
Because honestly, that new season they put out, 3 of the episodes were good, and 3 were fucking awful. So I was kind of disappointed, but like, I've rewatched the original series, and I love the X-Files. I grew up kind of like idolizing Mulder and Scully and David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. So I was pretty excited when I was downstairs in my neighbor's house and I was looking at her bookshelf and I was like, oh my God, is this a fucking X-Files book? And she was like, yeah, I don't know where I got that. And I was like, I'm going to take this. And because I figured it would be pretty schlocky and bad. I mean, it is schlocky. The X-Files TV show has some really great moments and I recommend you watch it if you haven't. But you kind of have to understand that it's pretty silly and schlocky sometimes. Like, I mean, there are just points in this book where I was like, yeah, this could easily have been one of the Monster of the Week episodes. You know, it's just in book form.
Out of the handful of episodes that I've watched, they all seem to be that Monster of the Week style thing. I don't think I ever really caught any of like the major plot arc ones.
Oh,
but this one definitely felt like one of those. There's only a handful of episodes I remember. The one that I remember the most like scared me as a kid because like the plot line was, I think it was like there was like this baseball team or something, and like one of the dudes was like an alien from another planet or something. And there's a scene where like the baseball manager walks into a room while he has his like human disguise off, and the guy just went like, "Oh, this is the real me, dude!" Like he was like it was like a planned like alien coming out moment or something.
Wow, I don't remember that episode at all. So that's weird.
I don't. Yeah, I have this weird. It might not even have been X-Files or something. Just some other Fox primetime alien sci-fi based show or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. But I mean, the baseball team
aspect might be wrong, but there was definitely a scene with someone walking into a room, someone revealing they were an alien, and I was very scared of that as a small child.
Oh, I remember when I was a kid, I was scared of just the opening sequence to the X-Files.
That theme is pretty evocative.
Well, it's not just it was like the images that were in the theme, like, you know, with the theme. It freaked me out. Yeah, I don't know. But that was when I was like really little. But anyway, so we read this book that's basically a Monster of the Week version, Monster of the Week episode of the X-Files. It was written by this guy named Kevin J. Anderson. And Chris Carter, the guy who created the X-Files, kind of, I guess, helped him out a little bit. So this is like officially sanctioned fan fiction, is essentially what the X-Files novels are.
Yeah, they do that for plenty of TV shows and whatnot.
So this book is, I don't know. I feel like if you're really hurting for some old Monster of the Week X-Files, like, I guess pick this up. It's an easy read. I read it in like a couple hours. Like, it's not a hard one.
I read it on a couple of plane rides to and from LA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was a nice little way to pass the time on those plane rides, and like you said, it's pretty simple plot line. There's this laboratory where nanomachine stuff is happening, and someone touches the wrong bit of nanomachines, and now everyone has mega cancer.
So yeah, that maybe isn't the greatest description of the plot, but it's kind of there. So yeah, this episode of the X-Files is about these two brothers, the Kennedy brothers, David and I forget the other one's name.
Other one.
Yeah, David and the other one, Kennedy. And they create their own company to do nanotechnology research to cure a specific kind of leukemia that David's son has. David's son is named Jody. He's one of the main characters in the book. I know it's a male. His name is Jody. Don't get confused. David's wife's name is Patrice. She's also kind of in there a bit. Of course, you have Mulder and Scully investigating. And there's a bunch of other side characters that I don't really care. The only important one is Jeremy Dorner, who is like one of the assistants or one of the other scientists at the lab that David and his brother run. And basically, it's one of those things where like David and his brother were their research was so good. Their nanotechnology research was so good that the government created a coup to shut it down and like burn it to the ground.
Yeah, it was too good to get out because it was like curing everything, and if you did that, then the world would be in chaos. Therefore, we can't have this happening. So let's firebomb this laboratory under the guise of being protesters against the animal testing that's happening in the laboratory.
Yeah, even though they weren't actually doing any animal testing. So yeah, the government.
There was an animal test.
Oh, we're going to talk about the animal test because that was actually one of the things I thought was terrible about this book.
An animal test that would warrant some protesting.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got your main cast. You got David and his brother, David Kennedy and his brother. I can't remember the brother's name. His wife, Patrice, son, Jody, their family dog, Vader, who is arguably Vader and Jeremy Dorner, the lab assistant, are like the two main characters in this book, other than Mulder and Scully, I feel like. So the government's like, oh man, the Kennedys are too good at science. Mind you, this is nanotechnology talk in like 1997. So this is like, right now in 2018, we're starting to see some of these things happen where where nanotechnology is getting to the point where maybe in 20 years or so, we're going to start injecting people with nanobots to fix stuff. And right now there was a promising study, I think, that happened earlier this year or late last year where cancer in 50% of the mice in the experiment was eradicated by nanomachines. So like, it's happening. It wasn't happening in 1997, that's for sure, but it's happening now. So
very basic nanotech, like theoretical nanotech stuff was probably proposed around then, because that's definitely around when you started hearing about it, and then like early 2000s, it was popular in some TV shows. Notably, one video game, Metal Gear Solid 2, was like all about, oh my god, nanomachines are taking over everything. Yeah, because
the first time nanotechnology was ever sort of talked about apparently was like in the late 50s, and then there was a book put out in 1986 by this guy who's like considered kind of the father of modern technology, and he's the one who kind of put this idea out there that nanomachines could be dangerous and self-replicate and kind of create this like gray goo that would take over the earth and kill everything in a matter of like days or something. And many people have kind of debunked that and said, that's not really a thing that would happen.
You need a whole lot of organic or whatever metal, perhaps material, to keep that gray goo mass forming, right? It's not like there was just be unlimited material around wherever this person who was turning into this would...
Well, that's what they're saying, is that the nanomachines would be able to use the carbon in everything around them to and it would end up like liquefying the earth. But anyway, Drexler's book in 86 that had that idea in it, like, is kind of, I don't know. That's where everyone's fears about nanotechnology came from, apparently.
I feel like you would design some kind of fail-safe mechanism into whatever nanomachines you're making to not just relentlessly strip all carbon from everything around it.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of insane.
And
but,
you'd run out of energy at some point.
Right.
Like,
and so this book...
Water doesn't have carbon in it, so as soon as that shit fell into the ocean, you're probably fine.
Yeah, I'm not, neither of us are experts on this. I just did some
I know
reading.
Water is 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, and there's no carbons in there.
Yeah, so they die when they hit the water. So you know what? You know how to kill nanobots? Throw water on them. They're just like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Just literally drown them in the tub.
So
problem solved.
I don't know if this shows how like my idiocy is showing, but so did you feel like when you were reading this book that they were talking about the nanomachines as though they were tiny little metal robots? Because that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I feel like they made
tiny
that
metal things in the bloodstream.
Yeah, I feel like they made that very clear, right?
Yeah.
You know what I found out?
They're not metal.
Nanobots are not little robots. They're not made of metal, and I didn't know that, and it makes a lot more sense now. So
they're like protein.
Yeah. So a lot of the things in your body, like RNA, and like RNA is basically a nanobot because it's something that's programmed to do a specific job, and it kind of runs around your body and does that. I mean, that's a very like terrible explanation, but I'm not a scientist, so there you go.
That's as layman as you can get.
Yeah, and so I didn't realize that nanobots were not actually tiny little metal robots because the book really does sell that idea though. So the book is super off in that respect. Like, we're not going to be injecting little tiny metal spiders into your veins. But the book definitely rides that idea. So
no, they're like little actual biological spiders, so it's that much worse.
yeah, right. No, they're actual spiders injected into your veins.
Yeah, exactly.
But
way
I
different.
mean, when I was reading about nanobots, I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. That makes way more sense. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I learned something from doing some research about this. I didn't know that, so that was cool. But the book definitely gets that wrong. So that's kind of a disappointment. And the book also insists that, like, because they're little metal robots, they have to be injected with, like, some kind of greasy carrier fluid. So you're getting, like, injected with oil and tiny metal spiders. And it's fucking ridiculous.
So Jeremy Dorner basically, like, gets overtaken by, like, early strain of their attempt at creating these super ultra healer nanobots. So they go crazy and they basically make him into like Cancer Man, where he just is like constantly rippling and shifting, and he's like all mucusy and covered in this carrier fluid. So he's just a real snotty, gross dude in general. Yeah.
So how this all happened is like when the government, or the shadow agents, the shadow lords of the government were like, we gotta firebomb this lab, and we're gonna pretend that like Greenpeace did it or something. Not Greenpeace, but some environmental organization. And they hired a bunch of what do they call them? Crisis actors.
Yeah.
They hired crisis
False
actors,
flag.
and it was and they got this guy to like pretend to be the head of this fake animal rights organization to show up and like protest while the building was burning down or something. And so while the building's burning down, Jeremy Dorner, the lab assistant, what did he get hurt or something?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He got shot.
And he was like, my only chance to survive is if I take some of this super ultra healer nanomachine tech, which they knew was working in that fashion because of the tests they did.
Yeah, except so Dormer was actually Dorner? Is it Dorner or Dormer? I don't know. But Jeremy is the guy who was in cahoots with the Shadow Lords of the government to burn down the lab. He was double-crossed, basically. So he was, like, jealous of all the notoriety that the Kennesseys were getting for their work and wanted kind of more of the recognition and wanted to be more involved in the project. And so he double-crosses them, and, the government was like, yeah, we're going to burn it down, and we're going to give you your own lab. And, of course, they burn it down and just shoot him, because why would they ever do anything else?
Yep.
And so he's like, oh, fuck, I'm shot. Oh, I know. Because the best version of the nanomachines, like the perfect version that actually works, they didn't have any left in the lab. It was like used on the kid and the dog, Jody, and the dog Vader.
Yep.
And so, or it was used on Jody, Vader had like the best dog version. Jodie had the best human version. And then in the lab,
different platforms.
Yeah,
you know,
it was. Yeah. You got the. Oh, you got nano machines for the Xbox? Yeah, I got the PS4. Yeah, basically.
Check it out. I'll cut my hand off. Oh, I came back.
Sick. So in the lab, of course, you know, they kept older versions that they tested on other stuff. I mean, maybe smaller animals or something that didn't work. But Jeremy's like, oh, at least, I don't know, injecting myself with one of these older versions is the best thing I can do to stay alive because maybe it'll fix my gunshot wound. But like, he knew he was taking a huge risk. And basically he like immediately turns into a fucking monster like Chris was describing. Like the little tiny, you know, nano spiders are replicating inside of him at like crazy rates, and they're fixing him but also mutating him into something else. I don't know. There's really no clue as to like what the end game is here for these nanobots in his bloodstream. But yeah, he's like covered in this carrier fluid, so he's like dripping this like weird oil slick, and he, like Chris was saying, he's like shifting, like his skin is like shifting around, and like things are shifting underneath his skin.
He has to concentrate on like holding his physical form together a lot of the time, so that he doesn't just become like a bonitis mass of whatever on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And so Mulder and Scully get involved because Dormer ends up killing a bunch of people, either accidentally or intentionally, because they get close to him and touch him, and the second anyone touches him, they also get nanobot cancer, and weirdly, they all like die immediately and like turn inside out or something.
My first major like plot hole that I spotted. The way it's presented is that he took the dog kind, and that's jumping from one species to another, so they're like fucking up even harder, but not super hard. But then when they make the jump from Dorner to another human, they fuck up even harder and like have even less of a reference or something to go by. So they just immediately kill the host. But one is a jump from one species to another, and the other is just a jump from one part of the species to another member of the species. So I don't understand why that would make it so much worse. I can understand from dog to human, it's going to have some issues, but human to human, why would it just instantly become super virulent, instant cancer death?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. And then like only some people, cause like I feel like at some point Scully gets it on her and nothing happens to her. Like
I don't think so.
At the end of the book,
I think she only had like Jodie near her, and Jodie had like the perfect human version, and he was pretty much doing fine. I don't remember anyone actually getting touched by Jeremy besides, I mean, in terms of Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote, why doesn't the nano disease transfer to Scully? Did they somehow make later versions of the drug less communicable? Oh, probably because when she was when she was dealing with Jodie at the end of the book. But anyway, so let's just continue. So yeah, I mean, I definitely had like the writing in this book is very middle of the road. There are some ridiculous phrases. I think my favorite, literally on page 1. It describes a flashlight beam as a fire hose of light. And talks about how the security guard could kill someone with his flashlight, and that it was actually a weapon as well as a flashlight. And I was like,
that
what?
Make a regular garden hose a flashlight of water?
Yes, correct. Yeah, light and water interchangeable.
Yeah.
So there were some like really awkward phrases. There were some words that the author repeated a lot. It just seemed like this book didn't get edited super hard.
This is a you crank it out kind of thing, I feel like.
It's like, you know, it's an R.L. Stein Goosebumps fucking deal.
Yeah,
like,
it's slightly adult Goosebumps with the cancer monster coming after you, who always gets up and is, like, not dead. He gets set on fire, I think, once or twice before he gets set on fire at the end and dies or something.
Gets shot, he gets into a truck accident, this guy's indestructible. Except for
at the very end.
Yeah.
When he
randomly. But so anyway, so Mulder and Scully get pulled into this because, you know, these bodies are showing up that are just like hideously deformed, and they've got this weird goo on them, and somehow they connect it to the lab. I think, well, because one of them was found in the ruins of the lab, the security guard that like finds Dormer or something because he went back there for something, and then they get into a scuffle and whatever.
Yeah, the security guard encounter is like the setup at the start of the episode before like the theme music hits. And, oh my god, he's being attacked by something.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah. I don't know what you were singing there. That was not.
That was my that's the beginning piano part of the. All right, keep going.
Yeah. Hey, can you tell that we're both musicians? Because
yeah, very technical terms of blah and doop with dupe. How many doots are in the X-Files theme?
I think we're embarrassing ourselves as musicians. I mean, whatever. So yeah, the setup at the beginning is yeah, like Chris described, the security guard finding Dormer coming back for something. And I don't know. So the kid getting the cure and the dog also having the good version of the disease are crucial here because the dog and the kid, you know, are not in the lab when it burns down, naturally. But I guess nobody knows that the dog and the kid were injected except for...
Some people know that the dog have the thing because of the video of the animal test that Jeremy and the dad made together. So we're going to talk about this. Which I think this is a perfect time to bring it up, honestly.
Yeah, all right. So the David and his brother had a disagreement. So the brother, although he was initially on board with the... lab and their research, eventually he felt like his brother was going too far and felt like the nanobots could be dangerous, and so he was like, fuck this, I'm gonna fuck off to my random survivalist colony in the woods of... Where does this take place? Oregon? Is this Oregon?
Yeah, it's a Pacific Northwest thing.
Somewhere. I think it's Oregon or Washington State. But he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go live in my weird survivalist utopia, get fucked. And so his brother takes off, and David's like, well, I guess Jeremy is like my new co-scientist or something. So Jeremy's like all pumped about it, and David and Jeremy are, you know, they think they've got a pretty good version. This is, you know, a ways in the past, I guess, like maybe a couple months or a year or something. And they're like, oh, we got the best version of the virus, we gotta test it. And so David brings in Vader, the family dog, like his son's dog, and they decide they want to test this on the dog. So, you know, like normal scientists, even though this is like an incredibly fringe thing, they probably would have just injected the dog and kept it in quarantine. But they wanted to make sure that this was really going to work. So they put the dog in a cage and shot it to death.
Yeah, with a handgun, like
with
twice.
With a handgun. Twice, correct. And then they injected it.
This is a science handgun, you see. These particularly calibrated to do science with.
He made Jeremy do it, right?
Yeah, because he, like, even despite being the cold asshole that takes the family dog in to get shot for his nanomachine test. Yeah.
I mean,
he's like, nah, Jeremy, you're gonna handle this one for me, please. And Jeremy just does it. And
I love how they couldn't have just given the dog a paper cut. No, they had to fucking shoot it with a
maybe
gun.
Maybe like a nick on the paw or something.
Nope, shoot it with a gun.
Just straight to the handgun, just shooting it.
I couldn't stop laughing because it was so ridiculous when I was reading that section. I was like, what the fuck? And also, like, they put it in a cage too, so it was like already freaked out, and then Jeremy shoots it not once but twice. Yeah, it was fucking stupid. So anyway, they inject it with shit. The nanotechnology works. Dog comes back to life. It, you know, knits itself together in a day, 2 days.
Even quicker than that, I think.
Oh, wait, no, I'm remembering a later point where the dog
gets hit by a car of a family that's like happens to like be traveling through this book. It's like that family never appears again. They actually hit the dog and bring it to a vet hospital, but like they never see it again. It's literally like this tourist family just trying to drive through their vacation. They end up in an X-Files book by accident just for a minute.
That sucks. Well, and it was funny because so the dog. Sorry, we're not doing a great job of telling this in a linear fashion, but
we never do. I've given up on that.
After the lab burns down, Jeremy Dorner turns into a horrible bonitis gooey mass and is like murdering people accidentally or intentionally, whatever. David dies in the fire, but his wife, David told his wife, like, yo, if anything happens, take the kid and the dog and fucking get out of town. So, like, Patrice is ready for it. Dude,
Yep.
this lady is way too ready for it.
She was ready to bug out at a moment's notice.
She was switching license plates. Like,
Yep.
she was about it. But then she does a stupid thing, and she decides she's going to take the kid and the dog to a cabin that the brother owned in the woods. And she's like, no one knows about this cabin. It's like, dude, I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know.
The first place they would go would be straight to where the brother is.
Right, is either their house or this mysterious cabin. So, whatever. Like, I gave her some cred for switching license plates and shit, but then that was retracted after I realized she
probably
was going
just
there.
like look at all the properties the family owns and be like, well, let's go look at the secluded cabin or a piece of land that they have.
Right. So while the kid and the dog are at the cabin, you know, she's like, oh, wow, my kid seems to no longer be dying of leukemia. How strange. He should really
Can't
be dying.
have anything to do with the nanomachine research for a cure.
I thought that she knew the whole time, and then towards the end of the book, I realized that she didn't know that he had been cured, and I was like, how do you not know? Like,
she wasn't like left out of the loop on the research that the brothers were doing.
I mean, I guess she must have been.
I guess I didn't seem, because if she was so ready, like she must have known that he was involved in something kooky.
Yeah, I mean, she knew that he was on this quest to save their kid from dying, but like he injected the kid without telling literally anyone. But still, it's like obviously, you know, my kid's getting better. My husband's lab was blown up and he was murdered because his research was perhaps becoming too effective. I wonder if these are connected in any way.
Can't really put these two together. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, so that was weird. So the dog is immortal at this point.
Yep. Gets hit by a car.
Like
I said early in the book, and gets taken to a vet, and like the vet like euthanizes it at first because it's like, well, your whole spine's cracked up, and there's nothing I can do. So sorry, buddy. And then the dog just like shakes off the euthanasia truck
and then runs away.
Yep.
And
it just got really high off death drugs, I guess. And
well, the funny thing about the whole scene where the dog because the dog, you know, gets away from Patrice and Jody and is like, you know, gets hit by this poor family that ends up in an X-Files book, and the family.
Do you guys hear like a creepy theme music playing behind us right now? Ever since we entered this forest, it's like I could hear some.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Yeah. No, it's good. And so the family hits the dog, and the dad wants to just like leave the dog to die and drive away, but the kids are like, "No, Daddy, you gotta save it." And he's like, "Son of a bitch!" So they move all their shit. They put the fucking dying dog in the back of the car, and he's desperately looking for a veterinarian in the middle of the night. So like, I was interested in this whole sequence because I was like, this is before, you know, smartphones. This is before. This is actually before most people had cell phones. Like, the only people who really have cell phones in the X-Files are, like, the agents, because...
Yeah, it talks about,
he's just, like, driving around.
Some, but it's like a satellite phone that's probably, like, huge and shit, so I just imagined, like, one of them carrying around this phone that's, like, very bulky on their hip the whole fucking time.
Yeah, no, they have cell phones in the X-Files in the show. But really just Mulder and Scully do. I mean, most people who aren't fucking government agents don't have them at that point. And so they're just driving around looking for a vet in the middle of the night, and I was like, how long could that possibly take it?
This might be where a vet is.
Yeah,
this looks vetty over here. It's the VFW.
Yeah, I think he pulled into like the first town, and I was just like, yeah, it just didn't make any sense. And of course they do find a vet, and somehow the guy lives in his veterinary office. Like, he has, like, his apartment above and his veterinary office below or something.
Hey, man, you gotta save on that rent as much as you can.
I mean, but, like, okay, so I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm just saying the number of coincidences that stack up in this book to make things happen are astronomical. And so the vet is like, okay, I'll take him off your hands. And as he's working on the dog, he's like, fucking tourist, always hitting dogs, leaving them here. God damn it. And I was like, how often does this happen? How often do people kill animals and then bring them to you in the middle of the night? It seems a little crazy that would be happening all the time.
He was thinking about putting in just like a bin outside that he can like look at every once in a while, probably.
I just spit seltzer all over the room.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
a big arrow pointing like, if you hit it, put it here, I'll take.
Yeah, I was just I was just really confused as to why tourists were constantly murdering animals in that town. I don't know.
Someone should put a sign up, Paris. Proper signage. Really important.
Yeah, they really need proper signage. Gorg, Chris's George Costanza D&D character, would recommend that.
Yep, okay. Well, back to this book.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. And so Dormer, Jeremy, god damn it, is like trying to keep himself together while he's like mutating into this horrible thing. And he's like, I just gotta get to the kid. The kid has the cure. Like, he thinks that like if he can touch the kid, the good
it's more
nanobots.
Like he needs his blood, so he just thinks if he like just puts Jodie's blood in his blood, I guess that it'll be fine. But I'm like, isn't a blood type thing also might be of a concern along with the nanomachine version or whatever? I don't know if this plan is. I guess it's all he has, but at the same time, he's just like, I don't know. I'll ingest the blood somehow and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and so he's desperately trying to get some child blood from Jodie,
or dog blood as like a secondary backup.
He also said he would accept dog blood.
I'm fine with either. Just like give me some.
I don't know. It's kind of insane, and so Mulder and Scully get notified, and they're, in their Mulder and Scully fashion.
This is like when you have a bunch of different versions of things on your computer, and you just hope the version update will keep everything in line, no matter what. You're like, I think this will be fine if I just take the dog version, but I don't know, because the last time I updated this plugin, I didn't go for the plan.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So Mulder and Scully are, following the patterns of bodies and stuff, and they're trying to figure it out, and somehow, the vet, when he encounters, Vader fucking mysteriously being well again, he has the presence of mind to send a tissue sample to the CDC. And somehow, 2 days later, Mulder and Scully already know about it and are in contact with the CDC. And I'm like, how did he get it there so quickly? Are you able to overnight things to the CDC? On a whim? I guess
so. I mean, that's also a really quick lab job over there that they just pushed it up front. Here's some guy sent us some dog blood. Put that in the front of the list immediately.
Some guy sent us some dog blood. Paperwork says it's got little robots in it. What do we do with it? Put that on the top of the list, Billy.
Stick them up front. I want to see what's going on here first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they would be like, what? Some no-name vet from fucking fuck you, Oregon sent us robot dog blood?
He said the dog got up after a euthanasia drug thing, so I don't know. Should put it under the big scope. Yeah. It's a whole line.
Yeah, the fucking timeline on that makes no goddamn sense. Because for some reason, the moment it hits the CDC, someone's like, I gotta call Mulder. And they know.
He's into that weird dog blood shit.
I don't know. Fucking dogs coming back to life full of robots sounds like Fox Mulder's. It sounds like
anytime
I gotta call
they
him.
just get a phone call from some InfoWars weirdo, they just forward it to Mulder because they hate him. Yes, guys, talk about aliens the other day. Fox, go ahead and check it out, huh?
You know what? That's probably more true to the life of the real Fox
snickering
Mulder.
To the other CDC members, I'm just gonna send them to Oregon to look for a dog. It's hilarious. He's gonna go too.
That's actually a way better story. So, Mulder and Scully get informed by the CDC, and they're piecing things together slowly. They find out that the animal liberation group that supposedly set the place on fire was a front, and they're like, oh shit, there's some nonsense going on. And of course the smoking man is behind it. If you've ever seen the show, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's part of the Shadow Lords that are, or whatever. They don't call them that. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's just the best way I can describe the, evil shadow government or whatever, that was behind shutting the lab down. Jeremy Dorner, while he's turning into a crazy monster, So like Chris was saying, he's kind of struggling to keep it together. Looks like shit. I honestly don't understand how he manages to get picked up by a trucker, because he was I don't think he wasn't trying to hitchhike, but he was walking on the side of the road in the pouring rain or something, and this truck driver takes pity on him. And I have no idea why he would pick up someone like this. Accidentally he ends up killing the truck driver or whatever. So he's he's really struggling to just keep it together and stay conscious. And, sometimes he finds himself under bridges. So,
as you do.
Just walk. He's walking everywhere, not driving. Can't
he
drive.
Walks the whole fucking way
he's
almost, like this, except for this one hitchhiking period.
He is walking for weeks. I don't really know.
On mucusy legs, so it's really difficult.
Mucusy buckling legs, and so sometimes he rests under bridges, and I guess sometimes bridges have pigeons under them as well. Which I don't really know if that's a thing. But
why not? Pigeons can go under bridges. It's not like the bridge troll always eats pigeons or something.
Well, there's this hilarious scene in the book.
Pigeon lore forbids under bridge.
Yeah, so as he's like freaking out more as the nanomachines are taking over his body, he starts like randomly losing consciousness. And there's this scene where he's under a bridge and he loses consciousness and he comes to and he realizes that he's just murdered a bunch of pigeons and he's like, oh, what have I done?
I've become a true monster.
Yeah, I've murdered the pigeons. And he's like, oh no, I killed the pigeons again or something. And you're like, again?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. He's just like, oh no. It made me laugh instead of
this man who shot a dog with a handgun for science is upset that he killed some sky rats under a bridge.
I wrote down the page number. It's actually way earlier in the book than I remembered. Dead pigeon bridge blackout. Here we go. Now he awoke screaming under the bridge. The echoes of his outcry vibrated against the river water. Ricocheting across the river and up under the bridge. That's what I mean. The writing in this is not great.
It's like skipping a stone, but with screams.
Scream skips. Dorman hauled himself to his feet. His eyes adjusted to the dim illumination of streetlights and the moon filtering through clouds above. His body twisted and contorted. He could feel the growths squirming in him, seething, taking on a life of their own. Dorman clenched his teeth, brought his elbows tight against his ribs, struggling to regain control. He breathed heavily through his nostrils. The air was cold and metallic, soured with the memory of burning blood. As he swayed to his feet, Dorman looked down at the rock embankment where he had slept so fitfully. There he saw the bodies of 5 pigeons. Wings splayed, feathers ruffled, their eyes glassy gray. Their beaks hung open with a trickle of blood curling down from their tongues.
that detail is so hilarious.
I know. Dorman stared at the dead birds and his stomach clenched, turning a somersault with nausea. He didn't know what his body had done, how he had lost control during his nightmares. Only the pigeons knew.
Well, there's a trickle of blood coming out of the beak, like...
A last gray feather drifted to the ground in silence.
Oh, it was like just seconds after he was done. I see.
The close up of the birds and like only the pigeons knew and the little gray feather falling from it's just all so fucking dumb.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Oh, that scene killed me. I laughed so hard. Like that and like the shooting the dog in a cage. Like that's gonna be my new shooting fish in a barrel. Shoot a dog in a cage. Like
yep. I mean, yeah, so basically Jeremy eventually catches up to Patrice and Jody in their cabin because he was like, oh, I know that's the cabin that David's brother has, so I'll just go there. And he catches up with them, and oh no, the cancer man is chasing after everyone, and he touches Patrice, and she turns into cancer death lump or whatever.
Right.
And Jody is now getting away, and then Mulder and Scully get separated somehow.
Yeah,
I forget who reaches the cabin. I think Scully gets to the cabin first because she's the one that's chaperoning Jody the whole time.
Correct. She gets stuck with the kid. I forget what Mulder gets pulled away. Oh, I think because while they're on their way to the cabin, they hear about the truck driver who is murdered in similar circumstances or whatever. So Mulder goes to check out the truck thing, and she goes with Jody to the cabin. How did they end up with Jody? No, she goes to the cabin and finds Jody there, right?
Yeah, it was after her examination of the body of the truck driver with she goes to this morgue where that body went to and they got in a freezer, and then she checks out all the weird shit that's happening inside the body.
Right.
Then at that same morgue, the shadow government agency shows up and they take out because a couple of days later the lab tech opens up the drawer and there's a tentacle beast in there that he shuts it and freezes it again, and then he calls the CDC. He's like, yo, yo, I got a tentacle beast in here. And then the shadow government guys come in instead and like sweep the whole place clean.
Yeah, they pretend to be the CDC, and it's so obvious that they're not the CDC.
And at some point after that, Scully goes to the cabin first, I think, actually. Mulder, I forgot why he...
Well, like I just said, he went to go check out the truck accident.
But Scully was checking out the body from the truck accident.
No, that wasn't the body from the truck accident. It was a body from some other incident. I don't remember which.
Oh, it was the security guard from the Dymar?
Yeah, it was the security guard.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, that's what that was.
So they separate, which, don't split the party, guys. Don't split the party.
Yeah.
How many episodes of The X-Files have you both starred in? Don't split the party. But they do, because they're stupid. And Scully gets to the cabin and has a fight with Dormer, whatever. And I don't remember the little boy. Jody gets shot. Scully is like freaking out because she thinks he's gonna die, and she takes him, puts him in the car, and is trying to drive him to a hospital. But he miraculously gets healed on the drive over, and she's like, what the fuck is going on? And so, yeah, I guess the kid's body was still full of magic nanobots. So it healed him. And then... Oh, that's right. The mom dies. Patrice gets killed by the nanobots because Jeremy touches her on the arm.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
She actually tackles Jeremy out of the way of something to get him to not touch, I think, the dog or Jody, maybe?
Jody, I think, yeah.
And that's what causes her to, die immediately from the extra virulent strain.
Yeah, she tells Jody to run with the... I don't even remember if the dog is there or if the dog... I don't know. The dog comes back, and the dog... I don't fucking know. The dog eventually kills Jeremy, right?
That's like a final confrontation. They all go back to the chemical lab for some reason because I think Mulder was following the Shadow Organization for a bit, or no, they were following him.
Oh yeah, they do all end up there.
They all end up at the Dymar lab again. I forgot why they all went there. I think the Shadow Organization was trying to re-bomb it again. They didn't bomb it well enough the first time, so they want to set it on fire a second time.
No, I think they just knew that Mulder and Scully and Dormer and they somehow knew everyone was going to end up there. And yeah, also a little bit of that. So yeah, why the fuck did they all end up? Now I don't remember why they all end up there.
We did read this one a while ago from recording this.
I read this a month ago. So I'm a little, I took notes, but not on specific details. But yeah, after the cabin, I don't remember why they end up going there. I have no idea.
I forget too, honestly.
Fuck. Okay, sorry everyone. But anyway, they all, so it's fucking party at the ruins of Dymar Laboratory. Literally everyone's there. The whole shadow government team that fucking launched this assault on the lab in the first place. Dorner's there. Jody's there, Vader, the dog is there, Mulder and Scully are there. It's
it's a big old shootout. Everyone's dodging bullets and getting crushed by flaming debris and
yeah, it's ridiculous. What happens is the kid thinks the dog is dead, so he tries to go after the dog.
The dog basically runs at Jeremy Dormer to attack him at any point, and they keep falling through successively lower levels of the building as it collapses or something.
Yeah, even though no one gets hurt, and no one gets hurt. I don't know. And it's the book ends, and you think the dog died, but the dog comes back, and they're we're just gonna pretend it's not the same dog.
They assume that, because the dog and Jeremy fell through a hole at the very end of the building collapsing, that, I guess Jeremy's dead now. But if the dog comes back, why wouldn't Jeremy also still be alive? They're acting like the guy in charge of the lieutenant for the Shadow Organization, his name is Adam Lentz, and he, assures the cigarette-smoking man that, it's all cleaned up and secure. But I was so you missed the dog, but you're sure that Jeremy's dead somehow? You're probably lying to that guy, right? How can you be sure?
I think maybe Jeremy says... Oh, that's right. Jeremy kidnaps Mulder and tells them they all have to meet at the lab.
Oh,
That's
right,
how
yeah.
that happens.
Yeah, okay, I forgot. Yeah.
I don't remember how Jeremy ends up kidnapping Mulder, but he does.
He gets the gun in his hand, and Mulder doesn't have one of these by himself, so he just holds Mulder at gunpoint for a while. But then it's more at touch point. Like,
and
also, if you try to
also-
run, I'll touch you.
Yeah, I'll touch you. I don't know. So that's how they end up there. I'm not sure why Dormer wants to go back there, but I forget.
But yeah, specifically that location, I have no idea why, but he wanted to try and get the kid or dog blood once more.
Yeah. So
And you would think while he was in a fight with the dog, some dog blood would get on him, and he'd be like, "Oh shit, I guess it didn't work." Like,
yeah, right. I don't know. And yeah, it just I don't know. It doesn't. Anyway, that's kind of how it ends, and of course, miraculously Vader is still alive, and he comes running up, and Jody is fine.
Jody is with his survivalist uncle.
Yep. And he's like,
Also,
oh.
Jody doesn't have the nanomachines anymore because they just shut off after they get rid of the leukemia.
Yeah, conveniently, they were just finishing up the leukemia when he got shot, so they also, it was like a side project. They also fixed the bullet wound
while we're
they
here.
were... Yeah, while we're here. I mean, so he just lucked out and survived, but both of his parents are dead, and he has to live in this horrible, fucking, what do they call those people? Apocalypse... preppers
Yeah, just preppers.
Whatever. Yeah, it's basically he has to fucking live in the woods of Oregon with a society of these fucking weirdos. So he's just got his dog. Well, the dog comes back and he's like, "Oh, it can't be Vader. Vader's dead, but I'm gonna call you Vader." And basically, the episode probably ends with Vader turning and looking at the camera and smiling and winking because it's obvious.
Wink.
So the dog
And
is
a little bit of the wink is a little squishy somehow because the eyelid's all weird.
Yeah, I mean the dog is I don't know if he's immortal. I mean, maybe he would die via old age, but the dog version, clearly, the nanomachines don't go away. They just are there forever. Because Mulder and Scully are like, you gotta test the kid. He's full of... Scully's like, I watched his bullet wound knit itself in the back of my car. It's real. He's full of this, curative nano thing. And they test him and they're like, I don't know, you people are crazy. There's nothing in this kid's blood.
He doesn't have cancer either, so,
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, he doesn't have cancer or anything. And so, it's one of those Mulder and Scully just going, well, guess we can't prove this one this time. Oh, well. And they go on with their lives. I had some questions about, they were just, I really felt like this book, even though it's not long, it went on for longer than it needed to. The whole ending sequence where it's Scully has the battle at the cabin with Dorner, and then Dorner kidnaps Mulder, and they go to the lab ruins, and then there's that big fire thing. God, they dragged that shit on for fucking chapters.
You probably could have condensed the cabin encounter into the lab encounter at the same time. Just kind of stagger it so that the government agents show up a little bit later. Patrice still gets mega cancered or whatever at the same time. And the dog still fights with Jeremy, but there's just less running through the woods chapters away from the cancer monster.
Yeah, it was just, oh God, it was so boring. They just really dragged it on at the end. And yeah, there was when I read that the weird blackout pigeon murder passage, it just, some of the phrasing was strange. It's not high.
Vibrating bodies of water with your screams.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
I scream at lakes all the time.
There were some silly notes I wrote LOL at Mulder eating cheese curls because they're in the car.
He's hungry.
Well, they just make it a point. They don't have to talk about what they're doing in the car because they're having a conversation, but they just make it a point to be like, Mulder ate those cheese curls. He sure did love those cheese curls. It's just what the fuck?
Product placement for just generic concept of cheese curls.
And then there's
all the cheese curl companies went in on that one to sponsor the book.
Yes, I know. Fucking Chester Cheetah was holding a gun to Kevin J. Anderson's head.
The true government agent behind it all.
Chester Cheetah was behind it all. Oh,
the Cheeto smoking cheetah.
The The Cheeto crunching shadow.
Yeah, shrouded in the darkness,
Shrouded.
controlling it all from the background to get everybody to buy his cheesy goodness.
Real talk, Cheetos are fucking amazing. They are top tier snack food.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. Like, I don't really like the big puffy style of cheese
those
puff.
suck.
I like a nice thin, crunchy, dusted in cheese.
Dude, the flaming ones. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm down.
I could get into one of those bags right now. I would just burrow in there and stay,
and then regret it the next day.
Dude, I don't eat like snacky foods and stuff. Usually at D&D once a month is like my one day to eat like garbage chips and stuff. So I don't really eat that stuff ever, but man, if they're around, I'm going to go for some Cheetos. I don't know why we're having this.
I'll be sure to bring some flaming hot Cheetos next time.
Oh my god, please. So yeah, Chris and I
Are you into Takis? How do you feel about Takis?
What?
Takis.
What's Takis?
Also a spicy kind of corn snack. They're kind of like more, they look like a rolled up churro more than a Cheeto. But they're also like a spicy, kind of slightly cheesy sometimes snack.
Oh my god, I don't know. I want to try it though. I don't know how we went from X-Files to fucking Chester Cheetah, the
they're
smoking man.
They're also way spicier than Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Oh my god, yes, I want these. I've never heard of these before.
I'm surprised by that. They're in a lot of grocery stores now.
No, I've never heard of them. Yeah, so now that we've totally derailed the conversation and are talking about Cheetos, yeah, I would say like don't read this book. It
was fine.
Unless there's way better books you could waste a couple hours on, is all I'm saying.
If you got just like a flight in front of you like I did, it was fine for that.
I don't know. I mean, I take some issue with it, and I don't think it's great. I think, like I said, if you're really jonesing for some classic schlocky X-Files episodes, sure, pick it up. But
I think that's why I was down with it. Like, I was totally in the mood for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up because I was just like, how can I not? I mean, I'm a huge X-Files fan, so I don't know. It doesn't really work as well as a book, I guess. But I will say the dialogue was like 100% Mulder and Scully from the TV show. Like Chris, I'm assuming that's why Chris Carter was involved.
From what I remember, pretty legit.
Oh yeah, it was very
Scully
like,
being
silly.
The smart, collected one, and Mulder just kind of being the weird conspiracy guy / like jokester type.
Yeah, exactly. There was one chapter of the book where they're like, I didn't understand why this was included. It tells you at the beginning of the book like, oh, they're at the Devil's Churn, like some cliff overlooking some water or something in the Pacific Northwest, and they have this short conversation, and I'm like, why did they go to like a tourist trap? Like, what are they doing?
You know, just having a nice time while they're out here investigating mega cancer.
Yeah, they're on assignment,
monsters.
But then they go to this like fucking tourist trap called the Devil's Churn, and they have this brief conversation, and like that was the chapter, and I was like, why the fuck did they even like, I don't know, some of it was like that, and I was just like, why did they even bother? Yeah, I just, like we already said, I just think this book could have been a lot shorter. They could have condensed some stuff. Yeah, and they could have maybe given it another pass with a thesaurus or something. Like, it just, I don't know. But yeah,
I don't have much to say about this. Like, this felt like, you know, a couple of ideas from Akira and Metal Gear Solid mashed into an X-Files episode, which I was down with.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't wonderful. So yeah, I don't know. Let's have our good book corner. What you been reading, Chris?
It's been mostly terrible stuff lately, to be honest with you, in terms of the book front. So I don't really have much to add here this time around.
Oh, that's okay. I got some stuff. So, for some reason, I've been on a real fucking tear lately, and I don't know. It's like I have enough to read with Terrible Book Club, but I think I mean, the whole point of doing the show was to make us read more, and it fucking works. Because you know what? When you fill your life with bad books, it makes you think, dear God, what is a good book like? And then you read good books, too. So I read, in addition to this X-Files Antibodies book, I also found this book called Christ in Concrete at my friend Dawn's house downstairs. Christ in Concrete is not a book that I would pick up and read, but Dawn was like, no, it was good, you should read it. And it was pretty short. It was like 200 pages or something, 240 pages or something. So I read it, and I remember the first couple of pages I was like, I don't want to read this. because it's just about the Italian American immigrant experience in like the 20s in New York.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, not really something I'm interested in. Not Italian, don't really care that much. And I was just like, okay. But then, dude, fucking page like 12 or 14, there is this incredibly visceral scene that happens, and it fucking got me. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And it was really good. And so I finished the rest of it because I was like, no, that scene was great. Like, props to this writer. Like, I'm going to keep going. So I finished it, and it was all right.
Intriguing.
So, like, if for some reason you're looking for books about, like, the American immigrant experience, particularly Italians or Catholics or something, like, it's Christ in Concrete. It's a good book. It's older. It's been around for a couple decades, but it was good. Oh, what else?
All my media consumption lately has been not book based, unless it's been a terrible book or something. I've been doing a lot of like redesigning of my room, so I've been consuming a lot of like interior decorating idea material and stuff like that. I mean, I guess I really got into Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch very recently.
Breath of the Wild is so good.
I got into that on my like trip while I was on the plane. I borrowed my brother's Switch, and he was like, "Yeah, you can finally check this out." And I got like 2 hours in, and all of a sudden I was hooked on just exploring the beautiful scenery that they laid out, and like all the little nooks and crannies to kind of get lost in.
Dude,
almost literally
fucking excellent. I love that game. We have played through the entire game, all the DLC. I don't think I have anything left to do in the game, but I wish I did, because it's fucking great.
I'm only like, I got 2 divine beasts down, and I'm like 40-ish shrines in, so I'm deep in it at this point.
Dude, this game has everything. Like, you got your horseback riding. You got your play and dress up with your horse. You got
What'd you name your horse? What'd you name your horse?
We got a couple of horses. Paul and I played the same game file. We attacked it together because it was such a big game.
Yep.
So he named one of his horses Samosa.
Okay.
There's another one named Frampton.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know where he got those names. I remember I named the white one Vita, which is just white in Norwegian.
Okay.
And I think we have 2 other horses, and I don't remember their names, but they also have there's one called Svadilfar. Which is Odin's horse, I believe.
have 2 horses. The spotted one is named Gravy, and the solid color one is named Bong. So
why did you name it Bong?
I Gravy Bong is my username in a few locations.
I know, but no, like, it's got I just like that your weapons degrade. It's kind of like Dark Souls meets fucking Zelda. It's like they have that element of like the combat is definitely a step up from other Zelda games. Like, your equipment needs to get repaired or replaced. It definitely keeps you on your toes because your weapon will fall apart eventually, and you have to just deal and use something else. That was really
kind
cool.
of fun, kind of annoying sometimes.
The hang gliding. Gliding is great.
Yep.
Love it.
So much cool stuff. But yeah, that's the media I've been consuming. I got into some music I got into recently was this band called The Aces. I'm super into them. Real good pop, kind of like rock-ish kind of stuff. Guitar and bass more than like electronic stuff, but there's some of that too. So,
Oh, okay.
That's my good media that I've been into recently.
I have another book to talk about that I also read in a single day because I was being a crazy person. I don't know. Usually I go to the gym after work, but this week has been, I've just had a bunch of weird shit come up. Like, I had to come home after work and wait for something to get delivered because I had to sign for it, and just had a lot of somebody's birthday. I had all the shit I had to do. So I ended up having a lot more time to read than I normally do. So yeah, I cut through Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects in a day. So that's a book that's become popular because there's now a TV show about it with some famous actress. I don't remember her name. Amy Adams, maybe? Is that an act? Is that a name of an Amy McAdams?
I think that rings a bell.
I don't know. But anyway, my friend Liz was like, "Oh man, I read this book and it was super good. You should read it." And I was like, don't know. I don't know anything about it. And I don't like to read book summaries before I read a book. I know that sounds crazy, but I just feel like too much is often given away. But I don't know, like, it was good. Sharp Objects was fine. I just think that the way it's marketed is, like, wrong. Because the book is, I mean, the book is marketed as kind of like a mystery thriller, but it's really just a study in patterns of abuse. And it's really good in that respect. Like, I think that it's definitely, it's one of those books where, I don't think it's not an unreliable narrator, but it's certainly a narrator that you might not, like.
Also interesting.
Yeah. And I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. I don't want to get too into it because it's a popular book. I'm sure some people are going to want to read it, but yeah, it was all right. I mean, I always have this problem with books, TV shows where I'm like never surprised by anything. Like
That's
I can
just
always
age and experience,
like,
man. That's like the curse of age.
God, like I can see shit coming a mile away. No, and it's not age. This is just how I've been for a long time. I think like once you consume a certain amount of media,
because you've experienced a thing and you know enough of like the standard building blocks that you can see most of like the functional stuff coming at you from a long way off, especially since, there is not a formula, but there is a way to structure things so things are interesting and, different. Some people rely on just like kind of copying certain ideas. Is that, and you can see that coming from a long time. And that's what I mean by age, is like you've experienced enough of the media. The first time you probably saw a version of that thing or whatever you're talking about, it was probably effective, but then to look for it, like the signs for it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, so I ended up guessing like mostly how the ending was going to go. I was only wrong about one thing, and there was one minor detail that surprised me. But I don't know. It was good though. I would probably recommend it if you can handle some really not garish. What am I trying to say here? Fuck, I can't think of the word. But if you're okay with some weird fuck, what is the word? Oh my god. Anyway, just fuck it. Forget everything I said. Read the book if you want. Whatever. I think we also both recently watched Disenchanted. Yeah.
That was fine. It was,
all right,
better than your just random average Netflix stuff, but like not as good as just any one single episode of Futurama was.
Yeah, that's true. Although I feel like it really picked up speed in the last 2 episodes of the season. It started again real good.
Back half definitely better than the front half.
Yeah, started again real good, and I was like, damn, sick. Like this show actually surprised me a little bit. I was like, all right, cool. So yeah,
that's the good media corner, I guess, with Terrible Book Club.
Yeah, I guess. So
we can talk about.
Oh yeah, we could probably talk about the fact that we reached our first goal on Patreon because our patrons are fucking great.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, thank you so much. Like I never anticipated that we would actually reach something that we're basically can keep this going at least once a month, maybe twice if we have enough space / time to do everything. That at this point there's no cost to us to make this, so we've got to still keep making it. Yeah,
I know. And so thank you to Dari, Greg, Will, Veronica, you guys, the best. Special shout out to Veronica this time around for being really cool and upping her contribution. So yeah, that was really cool of you. Thank you. I think we're actually gonna read her book pretty soon for an upcoming episode.
Should definitely be having real soon.
Yeah, and I'll say, so I've already read the book for the next episode. Like I said, I've kind of been a crazy person with reading. Chris is just putting his little foot in the lake for that one.
Any warnings or advice to give me before I continue?
Just I don't know, Chris. It's a real bad one this time.
Good. Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say that I've never seen this many distasteful book topics shoved into one book before.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's
so I'll
really
prepare my brain for that.
Yeah, just read. Yeah, it's, oh man, it's so good. So we're going to do that one next, and then probably Veronica's Choice after that. We got a little bit of backlog right now, so we're trying to prioritize patron requests, and then any requests after that. We'll just try to decide what would be better to do. Yeah, we're on
probably 3 to 6 more books this year that we're reading.
Oh, what?
Like 1 a month, maybe 2 a month.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In Terrible Book Club news, we had a dude email us about his own book. That was weird.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
we'll think about it.
Yeah, like I would be fine with reading it, but it's like almost 800 pages.
Oh yeah,
so
maybe not.
I think that if we do choose to do his book, it's just going to be the only episode we put out that month, probably.
For sure.
So that's kind of a toss up. I mean, unless we stay ahead of the curve and we just keep tearing through them here, maybe. But yeah, the length of it is really the only reason I'm put off by it. It is weird though that the guy's like, read my book. I was like,
yep.
And he's not like one of those people, because we've had that woman Tammy Wilding. We read her book. It's one of the Lost episodes, and I mean, this happens a lot where authors just don't understand what kind of book club we are, and they'll be like, "Oh, read my book," and so that's happened. But this guy knew. Like, the email made it clear that he knew what we did, and so I was like, "Oh, that's intriguing and strange." I also had somebody else email us. Asking where episode 1 was and why the episodes are numbered strangely on iTunes. So, if you've listened to the show before, you probably know that our original season in 2015, a lot of the episodes got lost when we went off the air for about a year, because they,
I have a fiery delete key finger.
Well, we just didn't think, we at the time had no clue that we were going to bring this back. We thought we were totally over and done with it. So, we weren't really prioritizing saving all of our shit, and of course when we went off the air, we canceled our Libsyn subscription, so they don't save that stuff either after you cancel. So we have a bunch of lost episodes, so yeah, there's 10 episodes that we don't have. So if you or someone might have them, Jesus Christ, please send them to us. We would be forever grateful. We'll find a way to reward you in some way, whether monetarily or with some kind of exclusive content or something. But furthermore, episode 1 is actually the final old episode that I have to post. So I've been trying to post the old episodes that we do have when we have enough space on like our Libsyn account at the end of the month. So just the other day, I released episode 11, Maridonia, which is a legendary episode. And many thanks to Bobby Kennedy. He's been a listener for a long time, for saving that episode and sending it back to us. That was really excellent of him, and can't thank you enough, Bobby, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And so I posted that, so that's up. So if you've never listened to episode 11, where we read Maridonia by Gloria Tesh, I highly recommend you check that out.
It's one of the great ones.
Yeah, so episode 1, I actually haven't listened to that since we put it out 3.5 years ago.
Wowee.
So, I'm going to be posting episode 1 probably next month, assuming we have enough room. So that's why when you go to iTunes, it's like episode 2, 3, episode 11, 13, 14, 15,
Yep.
So that's why there are missing episodes. Sadly, there are 10 episodes that are you're probably just never going to hear again unless some wonderful human being out there, or human beings plural, has saved them. So sorry about that, but shit happens. Yep. So I just figured I'd get those.
Yeah.
Get those
Last
out there.
little bit. Speaking of exclusive content for the Patreon, whatever. I keep always mispronouncing. We're probably going to move to audio only for some of that content. Just to be nice to CBS, ABC, whoever owns Legend of the Seeker.
Oh, I don't give a shit about being nice to anybody. I just don't want to get sued because we can't afford to be sued.
Yeah, that's really what it means. So, like, you might have to sync it up on your own. We have a countdown to hitting play on it. I don't know if you're watching it without, like, on a service, or like you have like a DVD set for some reason, it should be fine.
Well,
you're watching it.
There's also another reason why we're not doing video.
It takes a way longer time for me to edit and set it up. It's like, just to compress the file and render the video alone is like another 4 hours per episode.
It takes Chris 6 hours to, actually to get all that stuff together. And I mean, sure, a lot of that time is waiting.
It's mostly waiting, but I don't really do any other stuff on my computer because like I don't want to fuck with the processing, and like all of a sudden there's a glitch in the middle of the thing because I was trying to do some like audio work while the thing was rendering or something.
I mean, and not to mention the amount of space that video takes up in our storage is significant.
Yes.
So, I think it's just better for right now if we finish out The Legend of the Seeker with audio only. If for some reason it's a huge problem, please let us know. I sent a message to all y'all patrons. Only one person got back to me, by the way. And they said they were fine with audio only, so that's why we're moving forward with this. But if you have an issue, please reach out to me or Chris.
We will figure out a solution for you somehow.
Yeah. Also, do us a favor. Can you just give us a review on iTunes? We've only got 4 reviews. We only have 12 star ratings or whatever at all. What? Okay, we have one 1-star review, and we all know who that was from.
Yep.
So if
I think we have a suspicion.
Yeah. So if you could give us a review, great. I mean, if it's 5 stars, that's preferred, but obviously we want you to give a real review.
Leave an honest review so that we can.
An honest review
if we
is
need
fine.
to make changes, please let us know.
Yeah, please leave an honest review on iTunes. A lot of people use iTunes to listen to podcasts, and that's where they look at reviews to decide if they want to listen. So please, one of the things you can do to help support the show if you're not a patron, or if you are, give us a review on iTunes. If not, please follow us on social media. And something that would be really helpful is if you would share a social media post when the episode comes out. So I put posts up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you're on any of those platforms, just give us a share or a like or a comment or something. Any attention that you bring to the show is helpful. It gets more people listening to it. We're doing pretty well this month. We retained a lot of the people that we gained last month from those free ads we got for Radio Public and Podbean, so that was cool.
Hooray!
So thanks for sticking around, all y'all people.
Hi, all newbies to the Terrible Book Club.
Yeah, there's probably like 2 people listening this far into this episode.
Yeah,
but
we go into all the technical shit, all the non-patrons or whatever.
Oh, you know what? You know what I can do to sweeten the pot? Okay, if you've made it this far, I'm going to tell you about a crazy dream I had last night.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hear it. That's how we're going to wrap this up.
Because I thought that this dream, I don't know. So I dream in color. I don't have black and white dreams. So when I have dreams, they're like pretty vivid usually. And this dream I had, man, it was just crazy. All right, so I took some notes when I woke up.
Oh, good.
So it's like, all right, here's the setting. We're on some kind of a slightly rundown farm. It's either the 60s or 70s. I'm standing.
How did you know?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm standing. Like, it's not a driveway, but it's like the path that cars would drive down to go deeper into the farm. On the right, there's a smaller building. I don't know if it was a carriage house or like a smaller barn. And then towards the back, there's like a larger barn that seems like it's been converted a little bit. On the left, there are older cars, and they're like 50s cars, and they're kind of falling apart, you know. And towards the barn or the building kind of further back, there's a bunch of people dressed like it's the 60s or 70s, like dressed like hippies.
I feel like I should be asking you to roll a perception check for me right now.
Right. And so I'm walking, and I'm wearing jeans, and I'm wearing this poncho, and it's orange with blue flowers on it, and it has white trim and like long white fringe on it. And I'm walking in slow motion, and at like as I'm walking by the group of people,
this is your cool person outfit. And
yeah,
it's like
right.
You're slow.
So, and as I'm walking towards this back building, the crowd of people on my left are like, they're not cheering, but they're like hopeful and excited. And there is a song playing. So this is like I'm watching a fucking movie, but I'm in it. There's
the awesome poncho song.
There is a song playing. And the song, like it's almost like the song is skipping at the chorus. And it's like, the chorus was, it's a woman singing. It was like sort of like we're talking like Stevie Nicks kind of shit, you know. It could be one of those like modern like occult rock callback bands or whatever, you know.
Okay.
And the chorus is, you are what you are is amazing, and it just keeps repeating. Okay. This sounds...
You're gonna write this came to you in a dream. You have to make this into a song for real now.
And
I have to do it.
Dude, the craziest thing is I can still fucking hear it in my head, and it's like a real, it's like a real, but it doesn't exist. The song isn't real. I've never heard a song like that before.
This is like divine providence. You have to transcribe this melody for me, Paris.
Okay, gets better.
This is gonna be the TBC theme song.
Okay, all right, great. By the way, sorry, before I continue about me going like into the barn and what happens there was another part of the dream that happened where this one guy with like a silly, it was a big knife and it was silly. It was like,
Okay.
He was like
the album cover right here.
Okay, so he was like trying to attack us, and everyone just kind of like swarmed him, and we were just like, are you serious? And then he
look at this knife is far too silly to attack anyone with.
So this is turning into a really funny, but the dream was actually serious, not funny, not scary at all. But
this is a serious knife. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and so he breaks out of the like group that had surrounded him and tries to go for me, and he like rolls across the hood of one of those old cars that was like on the left of the sort of driving path. And I just say something like, "Are you serious?" And he just stabs himself in the stomach because he failed to stab me. And while he's like kneeling on the hood of the car,
persuasion check.
And so, all right, so that happened, and then so anyway, back to the movie in my head already in progress. So.
You're walking into the barn with your theme song after you caused a man to stab himself to death by you just merely questioning his existence. You're just like, are you a serious person right now? And he said he realized he was not, and he just took himself out the game.
All right, well, all this shit's gonna come together. So I enter the barn building or whatever. And in the first room, there's not much happening, and I'm walking through, and it's sort of like I'm like, even though it's first person perspective, everything's in slow motion and that song is playing, and it's kind of like I'm seeing something that's already happened. So I go into a door on my right, and there's Satan in his like big black goat form, and he's like morphing and changing into something else by candlelight. There's like these two candles on either side of him, and otherwise it's dark. But I'm not scared. I'm like, oh, this is good. Okay, cool. Yeah, the thing works.
Satan's here. Everything's fine.
No, I was like a scion of Satan. That's what all of this was about. I was like the fucking, I don't know, I was like the connection. And that's why all those people were like excited for me to go into the building. And that's why I was like kind of, I guess why I was being treated with like some kind of, not reverence, but like why people were like, excited about it.
Yeah, your cool Satan poncho on.
Yeah.
The theme music was going, giving you confidence.
Yep. And then, so I'm like, all right, cool. Satan's like transforming, sick. Everything's going according to plan or whatever. And then I turn and I turn to my right, and I know that I expected to see something else, but what I actually see is a woman dead or dying on the floor, a thin stream of blood on like a Turkish carpet following to the back of the room, and there's a guy who looks totally freaked out and confused, and he starts running in my direction, but I'm not really there. It's like I'm seeing something that's already happened, and that's all I remember. And I remember being like, oh shit, that's not what was supposed to happen. But yeah, so that guy who was trying to stab us is because we're a bunch of literal Satan worshippers bringing Satan to the earth, and that's why he was like trying to assassinate us, but it didn't work. And I don't know,
with this too silly knife that he brought, too silly of a knife,
dude,
to the Satan ritual.
Yeah, and that song playing like "You Are What You Are" is amazing. I feel like what was happening was like I was like, yeah, I'm not embarrassed. I'm the fucking Satan lady. Yeah, this is cool. Like, I don't know. It's such a stupid fucking weird dream. And it's way funnier talking about it.
Entrance,
yeah.
Paris, if you don't make this D&D character, I am playing it at any moment. The fucking poncho wearing 60s hippie Satan lady. Sure, 100% I'm playing that character at some point.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I just can't get over the bright orange poncho with blue flowers and long white fringe and white trim, because that is crazy.
gonna have that made for you now, Paris.
Yeah, so welcome to Paris's Dreams.
All right, well, with that, I guess we can finally sign this off. Maybe I'll serenade you out.
Oh no, sorry. I was informed that I was wrong about the name of Svadelfar, the one of the horses in our Breath of the Wild game. I said that was Odin's horse. That was wrong. Sleipnir is Odin's horse.
Okay.
Svadelfar is Sleipnir's dad. So it's Odin's horse's grandfather father, Svadelfar. Yeah. So, thank you for the correction, Paul.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we can bow out of here. You can slow walk your way out of this podcast with a poncho on.
We gotta make that song happen. What if we write that song?
Is amazing.
What if we write that song and it summons Satan?
Hey, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
Let's get to it, Paris.
All right. Well, if you've got any weird dreams, don't. I was gonna say tell us about them, but why would you do that?
Don't. I don't care.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Well, that ends Paris's dream segment of Terrible Book Club. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. What you are is amazing.
What you are is amazing.
See you later.
Bye.